2, 1. Our final album of the day is Lonely People with Power by Deafheaven. Now, Deafheaven we snagged because, honestly, I took a look at various genres when we're picking out albums and stuff like that, and I saw something called black gaze, and I'm like, I don't know what black gaze is at all. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is like black metal mixed with shoegaze. And
yeah.
Trust you me, you're going to understand exactly what that is. Just for an example, really quickly, I was like making this decision while I was at work, and my coworker, I kind of said like out loud to myself, I'm like, what is black gaze? And my coworker, who is very knowledgeable about music as well, kind of turned his head and just said, are you talking about Deafheaven? I'm like, yes. He's like, because that's the only band that I can think of that even remotely like sounds like it would fall into that as a genre.
So what's shoegaze?
Shoegaze, like Radiohead is shoegazy, like certain of their albums, like Kid A kind of area, like less OK Computer, more In Rainbows is very shoegazy.
The name comes from the heavy use of effects pedals. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
I was like, where does shoe come into
there
play?
it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Today I learned.
So that's what shoegaze is. Deafheaven is a duo turned quintet. So they started off as 2 people and have just continued to compile more and more band members as time has gone on, which, trust you me, again, when you listen, you're going to be like, there's no way 2 people could have done this in any way, shape, or form. They're out of San Francisco. They're really hard to put into a specific genre hole. You know, they talk about square pegs, round holes. They don't fit into any holes. They really kind of do their own thing, which is really cool. They're best described as being black gaze because of their black metal influence and their shoegazy kind of influence. But because of that, they kind of cover a spectrum of a lot of different sounds. Their 2013 release, Sunbather, really kind of put them on the map and took them really confidently out of just being kind of a black metal band, because before that they were pretty much just black metal. That's the same shows they were doing. It's the same fan base that was showing up to all of them. Sunbather was kind of revolutionary for the black metal genre because it changed people and it changed the way that people looked at metal and whether or not it could be improved upon and different aspects of it that could be actually influenced by other genres. They were really kind of pioneers in that sense on that album, which is really cool. It's if you haven't listened to Sunbather, I actually suggest that you do take the time. Whether you're a metalhead or not, just understand that like that was kind of a little bit of a turning point in terms of a lot of the newer metal bands, you know, especially like things like experimental hip hop, starting to pull in different uses of metal. And so they kind of really expanded their fan base and were able to just kind of cover metal in general and become their own thing. So really, really unique sound from Deafheaven. This album itself, Lonely People with Power, is their 6th studio album. It is more aggressive than a lot of their other stuff, but they did say specifically they really wanted to make sure that this characterized the emotion that was at the heart of their music and at the heart of the band. So this is going to be a little bit more aggressive than the normal stuff, but still holding on to a lot of that emotional impactfulness that they really cared about in all of their in all of their discography, but especially from Sunbather moving forward, a lot more aggressive because Sunbather was kind of where they started to influence, where they used a lot more shoegaze influence. This is kind of going a little bit closer to the metal side, and you guys already understand. The listeners at home will begin to understand as we proceed forward.
Yeah.
But Mel, Bob, do you have anything to add before we start diving into the tracks?
You first, Mel.
Yeah, so black metal is definitely not something that I listen to. And shoegaze I didn't know existed until just now. So this is not a sound I am familiar with. When I listen to music that incorporates screaming, it's usually like used as like a way to inflect certain points, and you're going in and out of like a singy chorus, and it doesn't rattle me as much. This was an experience for me. Like, this was quite the experience. It had some high parts, and I ended up, by the end of it, finding an appreciation for it. But off the bat, Mind you, I was puking my brains out yesterday morning when I had to listen to this, so I was cranky.
That's kind of black metal as fuck.
I
though.
know, but yeah, so I woke up, had to call out of work again. Yeah, puking, not feeling good, and then I have to listen to this album, and I'm like, wow, I'm mad. So that was my experience. It was interesting.
Bob?
I listen, I like this album a lot. I love the idea of two guys that just casually asking three other dudes to be in their black metal band. Their black metal band. I love that. I just like with Backwash, this is a heavy album. There's a lot of stuff going on. You have to be in the right mind space for this, I think. I will say that I was in the right mind space for this, and I can't wait to talk more about it.
I love it. All right. Without further ado, first track is actually kind of a interlude, like right off the hop. It's got these like crazy disjointed kind of atmospheric notes to it. I didn't pull a clip of it because it is only like this
10
one might
seconds.
only be like, is it 10 seconds? Like it is light.
It was
Yeah, very light.
I was like, what was even the point of it? I think it's like 15 seconds long.
Wait, no, it's 56 seconds is what
I was
going to
say,
is it?
Pretty sure
Yeah.
it was like 50 seconds.
It's very forgettable. So I get
Maybe
it.
maybe that's what I was.
It's a lot of
It
nothing,
is
but-
just atmospheric, but that atmosphere then kind of sets the tone, and it does dive straight into Doberman, which is the first real melodic track off of it, which, let's give it a little listen here. Yeah, so
This is such a good start to this album.
intense.
Yeah, it's intense. You know what you're getting right away. I wrote down a heavy start, not knowing like this is gonna be the album. Like this is it. This is what we're in for.
Yeah.
I love the mix through this song and most of the album. The vocals are there, they're heavy, but they're not overpowering, which you find a lot in metal, in death metal. I feel like the instrumentals are center stage for me in a lot of this, and I think that's amazing for me. The vocals, the vocals are absolutely there. We have no idea what they're saying half the time, which is again pretty common for metal music, black metal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this. Great start.
Well, it shifts over into these like really emo gothic kind of guitars that kind of come through with everything. I agree with what you're saying about the vocals. The vocals are destructive. They're kind of disgusting. Like his voice is warbly as he's yelling like through all of these tracks. Like it sounds like he's gargling while like singing. It's insane. Just how it can't be good for your vocal cords, right? Like there's no way.
I don't know
that-
how. Yeah, they do that kind of shit.
It's crazy.
You guys have heard me get guttural at some karaoke, and my voice is gone for 3 days.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah, it's nutty to think that that these guys do this on a regular basis. George, if I'm not mistaken, is the lead singer's name.
Yeah.
Is wild. It is
Doesn't
it
sound
is
like a George
crazy,
to me.
but
No,
it is
he doesn't.
really. But it is really neat and like refresh. Like it's a refreshing opening track too. At the same time, because it's like. It just came in like right away and was like, I'm going to punch you in the nose. Now we're going to move and we're going to keep punching you in the nose until you literally hit pause. That's the only thing that will change you getting destroyed right now by the power metal that is coming through all of this. The drumming on it is just insane. It has this like crazy post-hardcore drum solo off of it. I thought this was a really cool track and a really neat opening, with the exception of obviously the almost no music interlude that had already occurred. Really cool opening to the album because again, yeah, it's intense. It's exactly what it's going to be, and it's not going to stop being that. It tells you that right off the hop.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had the complete opposite. I don't know how to fix my camera, by the way, so it just is what it is at this point. I'm hoping it refocuses at one point. But yeah, so I actually agree with you 100% on the vocals, and that's exactly why I didn't like it. I thought he sounded so drowned out. Even with the lyrics pulled up next to me, I was like, he doesn't enunciate at all. I can't understand what he's saying. Like, if I looked away from the lyrics for a second and looked back, I was completely lost on the page. Like, I have no idea where I just left off. And for somebody who focuses heavily on lyrics, that deters me from the music. The instrumentals were great, and I really liked at the end when they slowed down for dramatic effect and then like geared back up. That I really enjoyed. But yeah, as of right now, his vocals have me tapped out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, as a lyrics person, like this is not music you listen to the lyrics for in general. I was trying to. I tried to follow along just like you, and like
There were some spots where I was keeping up, but
yeah, same. But
I wasn't really worried about it either.
With this type of music, I'm not here for the lyrics, man.
Yeah.
I'm just not. Like just give me the fucking the darn heavy metal. Sorry for the cursing to you listeners out there. So, I'm all pumped up now. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. For me, I want to know. Want to know what you're trying to say. I want to know what the point is you're trying to get across with your music, and I don't.
I feel like you get the point, though.
No, because
I don't feel like the point is missed.
There is not, for me, it is just a wall of noise. The entire album was a wall of noise, and there were parts where it started to differentiate, but I, at this point, am not sold.
I fully disagree that the whole album is a wall of noise. There are walls, but everything has so much depth. This is just one where the vocals are behind everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key part. It's not a wall. The vocals are so far behind everything that you're not getting hit with a wall. You're just getting hit with the vocals kind of last. And even then, can you make out what he's saying? Probably
there is
not.
a wall. There's a wall of noise that's blocking the vocals from coming through at all. Like, it sounds like gurgling. It sounds like mumbling, like the Peanuts noise in the background, the womp, womp, womp. That's what I'm getting from this.
I don't think that's part of I don't think I would call that the wall of noise, because the wall of noise is thinking kind of everything being at the same dimension. When I say a wall of noise, I mean everything's coming at you at the same time, including the vocals. This gives a lot of depth, because even like the guitars, some of the solos all actually play back and like and play differently. Like there is a lot of dimension to this, which is why I don't call it a wall of noise.
Fair.
The only difference is, like I said, the vocals are just at the very back of it, and yeah, it kind of sounds like he's got Listerine in his mouth at the time. Like that is.
I mean, semantics aside, for me, this isn't it.
What you're saying is it's not for you. What I'm saying is,
what you think is a weakness, I think is a strength of the
100%
of the music. Yeah. Which is totally, they're both valid points, 100%.
I agree. Because I will say, we covered Ellis Dunes. Whether or not that was the recording that ended up getting destroyed, the lost recordings of on Beat Off Script.
I don't remember.
It might have been. If it wasn't, though, we do have a previous episode where we talk about Ellis Dunes. Anthony Green's voice being so prominent in that was what took me out of it.
Yeah, it ruined it for you.
I would have been way more into it if it hadn't been, if he had done this on that album. I probably would have been more drawn into it. Sometimes the vocals don't need to be front and center in something, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and for me, that the vocals aren't they're not pleasant to listen to. In this whole album, they're not, and that's why I'm so glad they're in the back. You know
Correct.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So to speak.
I agree with that. 100%.
It adds to it. Oh, go ahead.
It does add to it. I personally think it does add to it still, because it is still there. Atmospherically, it's still present. You can still tell that it exists. And honestly, it helps bring the dimensions out, right? If the vocals are in the very back, now you're focusing on the instrumentation very aggressively. Moving on to Magnolia. So Magnolia actually has like a very garagey, very thrash metal kind of sound to it. You guys will know exactly what I'm talking about once I click this. Mel.
Heavy.
I'm in the same, as of right now, I'm still in the same boat as like song one. It's like now he's not gurgled, he's screaming, but I still don't understand what the fuck he's saying.
I like that. I don't know. I love that the drums and the beats and the bass line specifically are still very garage, very thrash the whole way through. But I like that they kind of bring in this post-rock, prog rock style guitar to kind of pull everything with it that I think works really cool. You know, Coheed was one of the albums that you guys really enjoyed, and I wasn't necessarily as big of a fan. I would have liked, I think, Coheed if they had more aggressive aesthetics in some of their tracks. This perfectly balances those two things for me. I'm not a big prog rock guy, but if it is, I'd like it to be more aggressive. I want to hear crazy blast drums. I want to hear, aggressive riffs from like the bass and rhythms. I like the prog rock part of the guitar side of things. It's very melodic. It brings another dimension and carries all of those other extreme noises to a finishing point. This did that really, really well for me, whereas other prog rockers that we've listened to haven't quite hit that for me, which is why I haven't really been big into prog rock. But
because Coheed doesn't do that, I like them.
And that's the differentiator for me when it comes to metal in general. I'm a metal guy. I like metal, but there's metal out there that is wall of noise to me, so to speak, as Mel would say. The prog rock portion of this, the melodic portion of this, is what brings me in and gets me to enjoy everything much more. So I love that you pointed that out, Brandito, because that's exactly what I felt in this song and in a few other songs too. Like I think they're great at doing that, bringing all the pieces together in that way. So I wrote down my only notes for this, like, fuck yeah, I'm pumped up is what I said. From Doberman to Magnolia, I was a couple beers in last night when I started listening to this, and it was just, I was in the right mindset for this. And man, I was jamming out at my desk and just, banging while listening.
One of the things that I will say is, as I went through my review process, for sure at the very beginning, I was a little bit thrown off. I absolutely was. The one thing that will continue to start happening is by the time every single song came to an end, I was smiling about it again. I'm like, and that was what was proving to me just how good this album was. Because every single time I'm like, oh, maybe this is a little bit much. And by the time it all came back together, I'm like, yeah, okay. I get it now. It kept musically just like pulling me out, and I was like, again, like another shot to the face. But by the end of it, I'm like, yeah, I'm back in. I'm hooked again. Like it was just another, just doing bumps over and over again. Just constantly just reinvigorating every feeling that I had about the record. Yeah. Takes us into our sweetest sounding of the songs, The Garden Route, which let's just play it.
That's a great segment too. Good clip.
Yeah, right.
I love the guitars in this one.
Well, this kind of like took a little bit more of like an alt rock kind of sound to it. Like this really felt out of the metal sphere for like a pretty good chunk of it, specifically on the guitars. Like it felt like, this was like an alt rock track. George Clark's voice is kind of what actually drags it still into the metal sphere, because without his voice on this, it loses almost all aggression and kind of falls into almost Linkin Park style kind of, again, that alt rock kind of sound, in my opinion. Like if you yanked him out, and obviously, I mean, Daniel Tracy's drumming on this album also just keeps it in the metal sphere almost no matter what.
Yeah.
But if you kind of took it out, you could argue that it isn't even necessarily metal at all. You know?
Yeah. I think you could compare it to maybe the hardest stuff from a Linkin Park or whatever.
Of an alt rock, yes, 100%. Of the hardest alt rock that exists. I don't disagree with it there, but like it does kind of, it yanks it, again. Like that's where George's voice kind of actually comes in, and I thought George's voice actually makes this track better for me.
Yeah.
This is where like it is like George without his voice on this just, it will bleed kind of too much in between other things. This is still like, okay, like we're still rocking really hard on this. It's just it needs his voice to be able to pull it there.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to be completely opposite on every take on this one. My notes are literally, the instrumentals are great. I'm tuning him out to enjoy them.
But it wouldn't be the same song. It genuinely just would not be the same song.
It wouldn't be, but I would probably enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Which goes back to my original point. That's why I love that they keep him lower, because I agree. I think the instrumentals are the strong part in almost every song. Mm-hmm. I agree with Brandon here in that. Yeah, I think it adds to the song, his vocals.
Yeah,
brings it back into.
It keeps that intensity while giving the instrumentals the ability to actually play around and play and have flexibility.
Yeah,
right. Because if you don't do it that way, again, then you end up kind of falling too far outside of that metal realm that wouldn't fit properly with the album. Not saying that it would be bad necessarily. It wouldn't play well, especially knowing that it's a part of a compilation of other tracks that all have to have a certain image and have to still work congruently with each other, right? Mm-hmm. So I think his voices particularly are important on that track. Also, every single breakdown so far on this album has been awesome.
Oh yeah.
The breakdowns have been really, really well put together. They work out super cool.
I like that we're listening again now. It makes me realize I didn't just like it because I was buzzed. Because I'm jamming onto it now. So that's a good thing.
I do love going through the clips because it's like a little reminder.
Yeah, me too. The clips are great.
And now we get kind of an aggressive change up on this next track. It changes over with Heathen. So let's give that a little spin.
More prog rock for sure.
This was my favorite track on the album.
I knew it was going to.
It's not surprising.
100%, without a question.
Yeah, I really liked the opening vocals. I don't mind when he does scream because it's being woven in with actual singing. The instrumentals are really pretty. Yeah, this was my favorite track, hands down.
This is a lot more shoegazy. When you're asking what shoegaze is, this is a lot more shoegazy. You know how those guitars have the really aggressive filters on them, so you get so much, like you have, when on every single note it holds for so much longer. That's a pedal effect. This is where the shoegaze and the post-punk kind of comes in and shines a little bit. Mm-hmm. This was kind of one of my least favorite tracks. Not that it's bad in any way, shape, or form. It's a lot more. It slips in between like screamo and like the traditional kind of punk rock side of things, and so I can have a little bit of appreciation there on that side. The spoken word part, I don't know if I loved or didn't love. I'm kind of indifferent about it, but like now I'm like in a certain mode where I want things to be aggressive, and this just shifts gears in and out of it a little bit too much for me, that I was like, no, I'm cool with getting punched in the face now. Keep punching me in the face, please.
That I have a very similar take on it because I was also I was in a metal mood, and then this comes on, and in every other scenario, I love this song. I still think it's a fantastic song. I now listen to it again, I'm jamming to it. It's good. I like the song a lot. As a product of the album, it doesn't feel as good. Like I didn't like. I wrote down like I actually liked the first 3 songs more because that was hitting me in the right place at the time. But I still think it's a fantastic song.
It's something that I really appreciate about Deafheaven. That again, I don't really know any other Deafheaven other than I did like listen to some tracks off of Sunbather and stuff like that beforehand.
Yep.
Is what they did with this album specifically for me is they changed my mindset over and over again.
Yeah.
Right? Every single time I was like, I don't know if this is going to be for me, and then it changed my mind by the end of the track. This was the first one where I was like, now at this point, I've had 3 songs of blasting me in the face, and now I'm on this. I'm like, this would generally be what I would want more, but you just convinced me 3 times over and over again that that's not what I want.
Yeah.
So
great way to
now I'm kind of disappointed by this track. It felt like the low point because all of the other points were convincing me that this was going to be the low point.
It was such a fresh, like a breath of fresh air for me. I was like, finally, something I like.
I knew this would be the. I knew this would be the one that you liked the most. 100%. It was always going to be.
I am literally going to be the complete opposite take from you guys the entire time. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a low point by any means, but it was definitely a different feel to it. For sure.
Yeah. Then we dive into Amethyst. This is an 8-minute track.
My favorite. I love long tracks.
Let's play a little bit of it for you guys. So again, it's 8 minutes. That was 32 seconds to 1 minute and 12 seconds in case you guys are wondering. There's another 7 minutes after that of just, it is a roller coaster. All I can say is if you were making a decision that you liked that song based on that clip or didn't like that song based on that clip, you got to play the actual song. It goes all over the map. It dives into this screamo rock. It obviously opens with this really proggy kind of classical opening to it. Really quippy, quick snare shots that I personally like. I really enjoyed those throughout all of it. But then you get these really sludgy vocals, and like it just instrumentally like works and organizes itself into the instrumentals on it. There was a point in time I literally wrote down at 6 minutes, I'm still really engaged in this. Like it did not lose me for even a second, and I loved that. Loved it.
This is the type of song I was hoping you'd have 2 clips of, honestly, because I think like I even wrote down like 6:45, and it just, that's my favorite part. It just gets epic is the way I want to put the song. It's just epic to me. It does. It hits all those different emotions. It's, for me, this was the best song on the album. I enjoyed every last second of this.
Fully agree.
I mean, I loved the opening, obviously. Yeah. It's more of the sound that I've been really enjoying. And I actually thought they transitioned through their different sounds really, really well. So I have an appreciation for the track. Like the spoken opening into the screaming was very well done, and I can respect it. Is the rest of it for me? No, but I respect it.
That's fair. Yeah. Great song. This is the one I would add to a playlist and just listen to.
For sure. I could do this one multiple times over.
Yeah.
I fully agree. I'm with you on that. Then we go into Incidental 2, which feels like it was supposed to be or going to be an interlude, but then it wasn't. It was definitely its own standalone song featuring Jay Matthews. Where now Mel, you can get happy again because now you get to listen to someone sing.
say, baby, come to me. Who am I?
I just realized those little guitar riffs remind me of Diablo, like the first Diablo. If anyone's ever
Probably.
heard the
Yeah,
theme
I
music
can
for
see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. This track. So Jay's vocals were a really like fun change of pace from everything through all of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what makes it feel like an interlude for quite some time on the track. I find it's still dark and ominous no matter what, but it's almost like too pure for the rest of the album. And I think that's one thing, and I really reiterate it on a later track. I think the important part is her vocals feel more discomforting at this point in the album than George's. Like, I've now fully been immersed into this album.
Yeah.
We're going on to track, was it 5 or 6? Whichever it is.
7. This is 7. Yeah.
7. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we
If you count the
first
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 yeah.
interlude. Yeah, that's right. This one really, like, they've now immersed me that George's voice sounds like the right one. Because again, when I jumped into this, I was with you, Mal. I agree. George's voice was the discomforting factor in it.
Mm-hmm.
By now Jay's voice is uncomfortable. I'm like, where's George? Right? Mm-hmm. Like, I need his voice. It shows up later on in the track.
It does. Yeah.
But, and otherwise it feels like an interlude all the way up until that happens. Like, it's 3 full minutes, and it's not a long track before you actually get George to step in and start doing his yelling with these powerful guitars and these huge distortion.
Yeah.
And then it closes out on Jay as a solo as well, which I think is a really, really cool take to put into there.
I agree. Yeah, it started off as just another interlude, and then I'm like, oh wow, this is getting heavy all of a sudden, and then it had a lot more power to it. I was listening, not looking at the time frames. I'm like, wow, this interlude's taking a while. This is a long interlude, and I look over at 4 minutes, and then that's when it started to get heavy, and I enjoyed it more than I thought it was going to when it started.
For sure.
Yeah.
I liked this one. I liked how like that was so anxiety inducing for me, and I thought that was like a really cool vibe, and it just had this eerie feel to it that I enjoyed a lot.
Well, and whoever took care of like the vocals and stuff like that on the mixing side of this, the ability to get those breathing, like the breathing from Jay, and like get that to stand out the way that they did was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it adds that ominous, it adds that disgusting kind of feeling that is sitting there. You just haven't heard it yet. I thought they did such a good job with that. Hearing the deep breathing in and out, like on every single note, was super cool.
I just want to point out that the Mel's sentence, I thought that was really anxiety inducing, and that was a really cool vibe for me. Is a really funny sentence, and I love that.
I live my life in a constant state of anxiety, so it feels at home.
Yeah. Oh, this is comfortable. Yeah. It's a really good vibe for me.
I feel like this isn't going to help you feel less, like, more comfortable, because Revelator then just goes right back to
Crazy.
it. We just jump right back in.
Yeah. Dare I say this is the heaviest song on the album? Pretty close, right?
Yeah,
I feel like
would be really close if not.
Yeah.
I would agree on that.
I wrote it was almost a little too hard for me at this point, especially after that last interlude. Like this hits you in the face more than I think any other song does, which is why I say that. It feels frantic. It feels anxiety inducing. More so than Calculate. It just feels very, there's a lot going on there.
What I liked about this track so much, so yeah, it feels like a punch to the solar plexus. I wrote that, I wrote that down specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Then it kind of opens up into that black metal kind of riff. Then it goes completely silent midway through the track.
And I thought the song was finished. Yeah.
And I thought the song was done too. And I literally wrote, Jesus Christ, that scared me. Because it comes back and like, absolutely, it's one of those ones like, you know when a song's over, it feels like the song was done.
Yeah.
And then like, it's about 2 seconds and then comes all the way back. And
Yeah.
I like genuinely like jump scared me.
Yeah.
It was wild.
I wrote down, this is finishing well. And then, oh, never mind. It's not finished. LOL.
Yeah, I feel like I got whiplash from this song twice. Like,
Yeah.
because the transition from Incidental 2 was crazy. And then, then we had that again where it's like, I am not okay.
Yes. It's perfect. I love that part about it. I think, honestly, that was like, for me, that's such a creative thing to do. I can't name a song that's ever jump scared me in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I can't name a song that's jump scared me.
Yeah, I definitely, I guess this one. But yeah, I can't.
Right? Yeah, it just... this was like almost where this song would have been specifically where I was convinced. I'm like, okay, what they're doing is controlled. What they're doing to me is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
This is with intention. They're trying to let me kind of lean back a little bit in my chair and be like, all right, like, I know what I'm going to get into, and then hitting me again. Like, it is trying to lull you into a sense of security and then smacking you up.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and I think that's cool. The fact that it genuinely did that when that was their intention, I think is so unique. Like, it's tough to recreate human emotion through
Music.
like recreate that kind of an emotion through music. Where I actively have to put my headphones in, press play on the song, and you still find a way to scare the shit out of me on a track. That's nuts. That's a crazy thing to think is possible, but it happened. It happened, and I realized that it was with intention.
Yeah.
Then we go into Body Behavior. Body Behavior, a little bit more of a conventional kind of rock song. It's fine, but now you just jump scared me. You made me kind of crap my pants a little, and now we're gonna calm it down a little bit.
Down a little bit more, yeah.
You know, this song is cool. It is really, really neat to me because, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Strokes, so very modern rock kind of style. And, like, the guitars reminded me so much of that.
I thought that too. Yeah.
It was really, really neat, but that track would have been my favorite track if they hadn't so masterfully done all of the other tracks before it. Because that track, to me, is more up my alley.
Yeah.
That is more what I would listen to. But because I listened to everything else beforehand, this felt like another low point to me.
I wrote down, this is a solid entry, but like I liked the first 5 major tracks on the album better. Like, honestly.
I
Like
can
this-
agree that I thought this was the lowest point because it actually like bored me in comparison to everything else. Like I mentally checked out on this one. This is skippable.
I think on this album it's skippable. I think by
Yeah.
itself, I think it's a great song.
Maybe.
Honestly.
Yeah, I think by
Maybe.
itself would be great. But yeah, I'm right there with you. Because if
Yeah.
I hadn't listened to every other song,
Yeah.
where I want it to be aggressive and intense, sure. Me just approaching this not knowing anything else about the any other things about the album.
Fair.
Body Behavior could be the one that I probably play the most.
Yeah, I could see that.
All things considered, not like out of context of the rest of the album.
It's
but
the
like
most
the rest of the album,
digestible out of
For sure.
Yeah.
And
it's
it
really
just fits
unique.
well. It's cohesive.
I do have a
Yeah.
tough. I don't know exactly how well the modern rock and the black metal work side by side, though. That was the only thing is the really chimey guitars. I don't know if I loved them in the context of the song itself either. I liked the guitars. I like the track. I don't know if I loved them together.
Yeah.
But either way, like I said, this one would be the most approachable. This would be the one that I could play with Dana. And Dana would also appreciate it.
Yeah.
So like it might be the one that I play the most, even though it might not be the one. It might be one of the ones that I like the least.
Sure.
right?
Yeah, I could see that.
Then we go into Incidental 3, the third part. This was, again, an actual interlude.
Yeah.
For sure, with Paul Banks on it. This kind of had this like weird post-industrial like metal-scape kind of sound to it, and Paul's vocals. This was where I wrote down that Paul's vocals sound uncomfortable to me, and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But at this point, I find more discomfort in hearing Paul's vocals than I do hearing George's. I want them to scream. That's all I'm looking for.
Sure.
So like it was really, really tough to get through. I mean, it's not a long. I think that one actually did pop up over a minute, if I'm not mistaken.
2 minutes.
Got to 2, yeah. Okay. That it is a little bit longer, and Paul is basically just talking like a normal person, and I'm just like, I don't. You are weird to me. This is weird because I've been yelled at for the last like. This album does clock out at over an hour, almost an hour and a quarter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to this now for about an hour or so, and I'm like, normal voices sound off.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. But it went back to kind of like that eerie vibe where, like, I thought it kind of like worked for that, where it is making you uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm anxious again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But made you anxious in the way that you weren't anxious initially.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, these incidentals, they really like divide the album into 3 different parts, I feel like, in a
For sure does.
weird way. Yeah, but to me, this was kind of a nothing burger. I didn't really think much of it either way. Like,
No,
it was
a 2-minute interlude, really, at the end of the day.
It's there.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Then we pop into Winona.
Right.
All right, Mel, tell me how much you hate it.
Okay, so you're going to think I'm fucking crazy, but my notes are literally, I actually don't all of a sudden mind the vocals. Not sure what the difference is. Maybe I'm getting used to them, or maybe the instrumentals are that good that I just don't care.
I actually, but that's specifically how I felt about it too.
Okay, yeah.
Like I said, it happened to me maybe a track before, but I'm like, I'm liking the vocals more than I liked them at the beginning.
Yeah, there was a switch here for me, for sure. And I'm like, okay, I'm in.
It works so well.
Yeah,
they just work well with the instrumentals for me. Yeah. The mix is so good.
It's crazy that it gives you this full experience, this whole experience of, I don't love that. Okay, I'm getting used to it. Okay, but now what was normally normal sounds weird to me.
Reversed, yeah.
Now, I actually like the first stuff.
Yeah, the initial sound, because you showed me that. Like, what is going on? I'm so confused.
I thought that's brilliant.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a brilliant thing. This track is a little bit of a longer one. The first minute of the track is just straight drum solos.
Yeah.
For the whole of it. It's dark and but ominously inspiring. The whole track, almost from the very beginning, still feels like it's constantly building up to something. It takes about 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah.
I wrote down when it was. When it finally breaks, you've heard all of these breakdowns all throughout the album, and they happen relatively frequently. You know when they're going to happen. This edges you for 3 minutes and 50 seconds. It takes you all the way there, and then finally drops.
Yeah.
I was blown away by it. I was like, it's grabbing me by the collar and saying, you're going to come with us on this. And I thought that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. I literally wrote down this is a long build up. This better be good. It's what I wrote down.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this song's delivering at
Yeah.
like the 4-minute mark or whatever. Yeah.
And then it drops into that prog rock kind of finale
Yeah.
sound, and they kind of but still kind of like shoegazy and gentle at the very end of it, which I also like. It's just it's hard to describe exactly just with words like what all it does to you, and like I can only recommend to the listeners, please just play the track again. It's another one where I could show you every single part. Like basically, the only way that I could play a clip that would do it justice is playing the whole song, because it takes the whole song to really fully understand what else going on with it.
Yeah. Which is true for a lot of these songs.
Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, this wasn't my favorite one on the album, but it was still solid in a high tier for me, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
It took a little too long to build up, but the build up was worth it. So, yeah.
It was worth it. But I'm right there with you. If they had gotten it out in 2 minutes and 50 seconds,
or
1 minute and 50 seconds,
right,
probably would have bought me in a little bit closer. But it took such a long time to get there, and like once you get there, it is a relief. But because it builds anxiety pretty much the whole way up to there too, and like it feels like such a relief once it finally hits. And it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Whether or not it will take a lot of people out before they get to that point is completely understandable.
That's the one issue I see with it. Yeah.
And lastly, the final track, the track that Mel wanted us to listen to twice when she made the clips today, "The Marvelous Orange Tree." Let's listen to some closing statements by Deafheaven here. So Mel, you like this one more, right?
This ended up being my like second favorite of the album, yeah.
Which is why you wanted us to listen to it twice. I got it now.
Well, not intentionally. The song clip I had is labeled Doberman. I just am stupid. But yeah, no, I thought this was like a very strong finish. Again, we got like the reprieve from the screaming, which I enjoy. I love it when vocals like kind of weave back and forth.
And the running water opening too
was so
just
interesting.
really pretty.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
It was.
Yeah, I liked it. No, it was. Yeah, this was my second favorite. I was very okay with this.
Yeah, this is another solid song. And there's many on this album. I don't know that there was a super low point for me at any point. Outside of the interludes, which really not that
or
low
whatever. They're kind of throwaways.
They're throwaways. Other than that, this is. It felt like a closer in a lot of ways. I wouldn't say it's the best song on the album by any stretch of the imagination, but it fits cohesively with everything else. So, yeah.
You know, I kind of, on this track, I started like writing like kind of a little bit more just about the album entirely, because I had just gotten to this point and I'm like, I'm thrilled with this album. I was very, I'm ecstatic that we listened to it, because it was just it's crazy to me that they took me from somebody who doesn't really love, prog rock, but loves certain elements of it, and doesn't really love metal, but I love certain metal elements, and putting them together in such a interesting and creative way that every single time I thought I was going to be disgusted by a song and be like, this sucks, I ended up smiling by the end of it, because it found a way to just really like thread the needle of the things that I like about all of the genres and turn them into something that I could stomach and I wanted to be a part of. I enjoyed it a lot.
Mel, how'd you feel about it?
As a whole, like album as a whole,
absolutely.
It had highs and lows for me. It was definitely an experience. I appreciate the experience. I will not revisit the experience, I don't think.
That's fair.
But yeah, I can appreciate it. I see what they were trying to do. I do think they were very successful. I just don't think it's necessarily for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I absolutely understand that.
Yeah.
Black metal is not for everyone at all.
No.
Um,
Metal in general isn't necessarily
Yeah.
for everyone.
I would say that,
No
but
music's really
even
for
black
everyone,
metal as
but-
a subgenre is even harder. To,
That's I was
less
gonna say
accessible, for sure.
I can listen to some metal, but yeah,
Yeah.
there's a tone difference there that like shakes me.
Yeah, and that's fair. Man, for me, the production of this was so well done. I already told you guys I loved that the instruments took center stage. Vocals were necessary, but not in front. So, and they weren't ridiculously loud like you get with some other metal bands where that's all you hear is the lyrics and you can't really enjoy everything else. So, I loved that. We're here for the badass metal, you know what I mean? So, during the 62 minutes in this album, I thought there may be 5 to 10 minutes max where I wasn't enjoying myself, and that was mostly interlude times. One or two songs may have had a couple low points, but not, again, not enough to really take away from the whole experience. Deafheaven's yet another band I've never heard of. We get a lot of that on this podcast, and we'll continue to get that until we've done this for 5 or 6 years. But I will absolutely be going through the discography, seeing what else I like out there, because I'm a metal guy. There are certain black metal bands I enjoy a lot, and this is going to be another one of them. Rating wise, I give this a 9.1.
Wow.
I really, really enjoyed this.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, this
What
is
did you give it, sorry?
right up
A
your alley.
9.1. 9.1.
9-1.
Yeah.
It was.
I'm not
As
surprised.
far as metal goes,
Is that ever interesting? Okay, so for me, my closing arguments here on it were expect nothing on this album because it curves and cuts in like every single chance that it gets. So like when you think it's time to headbang, it's gonna slip into it's gonna flip the script on you and it's gonna start to calm down a little bit. And when you feel like you're just getting some ambient prog rock, it's gonna flip on you again and just like punch you directly in the teeth. Deafheaven is a band that like I do need to just know more of now after this album. Like I want to understand them more. It's one of those things like how do you explain anything when you can't expect what's going to happen?
yeah.
It's one of those things where it is just an experience. Like it feels like they did something that was pleasantly impossible, and that was make something where I thought I knew what I was going to get and flipping it over and then making me like that too. And then as soon as I thought that's what we were going to get, flip me back over, and I appreciated that more now. And it was a really, really cool, making sure I was cooked on both sides, like style of music that was just incredible. I thought it was a great record. For me, it's also a 9-1. I have it written.
Shut up.
No kidding.
It was,
Very
for
interesting.
me, just as good as Squid, and that's why I needed to do that. Obviously, the storyline with Squid was a 9-1 for me. Cowards by Squid. For those of you who have watched past episodes, thank you for coming back. Yeah. But no, for me, I liked Squid's, obviously not necessarily just the vocals, but the story and everything that kind of came along with that album.
Yeah.
Whereas on this side,
Story. What story?
there is no
This one,
story
yeah.
and barely any vocals.
Yeah.
I
There are
don't
lyrics.
dislike.
I'm
the
sure
vocals
there's a
were pretty
story
much
there.
the same. There are
Yeah.
lyrics. Yeah, somebody
Yeah.
wrote something down that
Yeah.
were words.
Yeah.
For sure. But the instrumentation and just the way that they create a story just through the music as opposed to creating the story with lyrics,
Yeah.
I thought was super, super unique. And I'm down with Deafheaven now.
Well, Mel, our standard deviation is 1.0. So how can you change that?
Every time.
Or 0? I forget
Every
now.
time
Standard
someone has to be, right now we're at 0. I'm about to
Yeah.
fucking throw a wrench in
There it
that,
is.
so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I like I said, I respect it, so I feel bad tanking the score, but literally, like, if we're going by what I like, it's like a 6.5. I think it gets some brownie points, and I gotta put it up, like, well above half, but it's just not something I'm revisiting. I'm not.
Hey, I did that with
Yeah.
a bunch of singles.
Yeah.
You don't like what you don't like, and that's okay.
Yeah, I feel bad.
And this again, black metal more than almost any other genre. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
It's not the most approachable genre that's ever
No.
existed
No.
in the world. I can agree
Yeah,
with that.
I respect the artistry. There's a lot of talent there. It's just, it's not something I'm gonna go out of my way to listen to ever again. But I do enjoy being on the podcast and being forced to listen to it because I just feel like I learn a lot. Like I would have never dove into that album ever without this.
No.
So like it was fun.
Same.
It was a fun experience. But yeah.
Nice.
Well, there you go, guys and listeners. That's 3 albums, 3 more albums in the books. Episode 6. 3, 2, 1.